Good afternoon. I wish to call the Lee County Board of Commissioners to order on this Monday, May 6th of 2024. Just a reminder, if you forgot to turn off your ringer on your cell phone, please do so at this time. If not, we will stop the proceedings and let you answer the phone. Would you please stand for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Heavenly Father, we come before you today to conduct the business of Lee County to the benefit of the citizens. We ask that you watch over our law enforcement, our first responders, our emergency medical personnel, and our firefighters as they carry out the duties to protect our citizens. We ask for the privilege of coming before you to give us guidance and strength in all that we do. In your most holy and precious name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just need to add one item to the agenda, item 6C, under management's report, and that'll be the manager's comment. As normal, she has it on the second meeting of the month, and she has some additional items to add for this evening. Any further additions to the agenda? Seeing none, do I have a
motion to approve agenda?
Motion's made to approve the additional items added to the agenda. Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
On item under new business, 5A and 5B, I thought we've had prior discussions on it, and the recommendations are to approve. Can they go to consent?
You wish to move them to consent agenda, sir?
I do.
Motion's been made to move the 5A and 5B under new business to the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Any other additions to the to the agenda? No further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Motion been made to approve the consent agenda as amended. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to public comments, we have none. Going on to old business, rezoning. And Amy, before you come forward, I'm going to read the conflict of interest rezoning statement. A governing board member shall not vote on any legislative decision regarding a development regulation adopted pursuant to Chapter 160D, where the outcome of the matter being considered is reasonably likely to have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact on the member. A governing board member shall not vote on any zoning amendment if the landowner of the property subject to a rezoning petition or the applicant for a text amendment is a person with whom the member has a close familial, business, or other associational relationship. Does any board member have a conflict with any of the items before us in the rezoning? Thank you to the attorney. She made sure I got this. You were at a conference when you picked on this. Yes, okay. Thank you. We are now set. Mrs. McNeil, go.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and citizens. This information is on pages 97 through 108 of your agenda packet. The Planning Board met on April 15th after the public hearing was held and recommended by a unanimous vote that the commissioners approve the request to rezone an 18.43-acre portion of a 30.12-acre tract of land with frontage on Lower Moncure Road from residential agricultural to light industrial because it is reasonable and in the public interest, since it would allow for light industrial land uses such as a self-storage facility. Also, north of the site, on the opposite side of the railroad and Lower Moncure Road, is heavy industrial zoning. Topics of discussion included that the request aligns with the adopted long-range plan, that the site adjoins the airport and that there was no opposition to the request. The board inquired as to why only a portion of the parcel was asked to be rezoned, and the applicant stated that there was a large electric line that bisected this area and that he was unsure what his future plans were for the area at the time. The board acknowledged by unanimous vote that the rezoning request was consistent with the Plan Sandley Long Range Plan designation of industrial center place type because this place type is supportive of light industrial as a current and proposed zoning district, and the proposed self-storage facility could be considered a smaller scale commercial use that supports employees and businesses in a larger district. As a reminder, the commissioners should make 2 votes regarding this matter. Sample motions are provided on pages 98 and 99 for your reference, and you're always welcome to draft a unique motion if preferred. Also, the commissioners may acknowledge that the zoning map amendment is not consistent with the Plan Sandley Long Range Plan and still vote to approve the request. Are there any questions?
Questions for Amy regarding this rezoning? Commissioner Sharp?
None.
Commissioner Reeves? Commissioner Vorbeck?
You did state that the planning board said that it was consistent with the plan,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Okay. And then my second question was, this was the property that it also falls in line with the airport authority on, as far as the structures and the height of which an industry could go, correct?
The airport authority didn't have any concern with regard to the rezoning. The actual development of the property has not been reviewed yet or
Okay.
approved, but we will send those plans to them before we approve them.
But isn't there a height requirement around that area?
Yes,
and
ma'am, there's a
stuff like
height
that?
and a density limitation.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Carver?
None.
Okay, you've heard the proposal, recommendation. Do I have a motion?
The first motion is on the, correct, it has to be, I moved that it is
Consistent with
consistent
plan.
with the Plan Sandley Long Range Development Plan.
Motion.
Okay, the motion is made for the Lower Moncur Road, Benavides property rezoning request, planning board recommendation, that it is consistent with the Plan Sandley land use plan designation of industrial center because this place type is supportive of light industrial as a current and proposed zoning district, and the proposed self-storage facility could be considered a smaller scale commercial use that supports the employees and businesses in a larger district. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item.
Nope, and then this, is there not a two-step to that one?
the-
Yep.
Yes,
Okay. And then motion to approve the request.
all right. And a motion is that option 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have the options in front of me. I'm going off of,
All right, this is the
Memorization.
motion to approve. The planning board recommended the Board of Commissioners approve the proposed zoning map amendment for residential agricultural to light industrial because it is reasonable and in the public interest since it would allow for light industrial land uses such as a self-storage facility. Also north of the site and the opposite side of the railroad and Lower Moncur Road is a heavy industrial zoning. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to item 4B, Cumnock Road, Smith Property Rezoning Request, Planning Board Recommendation.
Good evening again. This information is on pages 109 through 120 of your agenda packet. The planning board met on April 15th after the public hearing was held and recommended by a 6-to-1 vote that the commissioners approve the request to rezone 9.6 acres with frontage on Cumnock Road from residential restricted and multifamily MF12 to light industrial. Topics of discussion included the location of the site, the lengthy list of allowed uses in the LI zoning district, the existing adjoining land uses, that commercial land uses are allowed in the Village of Cumnock Conditional Zoning District located on the opposite side of Cumnock Road, and that there was no opposition. The board acknowledged by unanimous vote that the rezoning request was not consistent with the Plan Sandley Long Range Plan designation of village neighborhood because it does not include industrial zoning or land uses. As a reminder, the Commissioners should make 2 votes regarding this matter. Sample motions are provided on pages 110 and 111 for your reference. You're always welcome to draft a unique motion if preferred, and you may acknowledge that the zoning map amendment is not consistent with the Plan Sandley Long-Range Plan and still vote to approve the request. Are there any questions?
Questions for Amy? Commissioner Carver?
None.
Commissioner Lovett?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
What was the board's vote again? What'd you
It
say?
was 6-1.
Approve?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
Are you able to share what the one hesitation
Sure.
was? Okay.
It was the lengthy list of allowed uses in light industrial. He didn't have a specific concern regarding what Mr. Smith wanted to do at this time, but he was concerned about how the property could be redeveloped in the
In
future.
the future, yeah. Okay, because the lot, when I was looking at, it's already cleared, it's already got a barn, it's already got stuff kind of within this realm, it seems operating, sort of. But, okay. That was the concern, was just the list of what the new
Yes,
zoning
ma'am, of
would
what
be.
it could turn into in the future.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Reeves?
I've got a question, but it's regarding some of the activities surrounding the site in Comnock. Have they started blasting already?
No, sir, not yet.
How are they handling that for the public? I mean, I know years ago, we had several people complain to us about their property damage. And one of the things that I specifically remember is that they didn't video their properties until after the blowing up had already started. It needs to be done prior to and while ongoing.
I understand what you're saying, that the property owners need to document the condition of their property before the blasting starts,
Right.
so that they could verify any valid claims. The developer hasn't gotten to the point where they're ready to do that. They will
Right.
they haven't even submitted construction drawings. So once the people who actually develop the site
Yeah.
come and meet with us, we'll discuss that with them. I'll make a note of that for sure,
All right, we'll make it publicly known, I hope.
of course.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp?
I don't have any.
No questions? Okay, we'll need the motion regarding that is not consistent with Plan Sandley.
I move motion, option 2. I make a motion that the proposed zoning map amendment is not consistent with the Plan Sandley land use designation of village neighborhood because it does not include industrial zoning or land use.
You've heard the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item is to approve or deny the rezoning request.
I'll make a motion, option 1, motion that the planning board recommended to the Board of Commissioners to approve the proposed zoning amendment for the residential restricted and multifamily to light industrial because it is reasonable given the location of the site on Cumnock Road between Highway 421 bypass and intersection of Cumnock Community.
You've heard the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion's carried. Moving on to the next item. Thank you, Amy. Have a good day. Please drive safely, wear your seatbelt, no speeding. Next item on the agenda is the shelter, restroom, and playground Kiwanis Children Park Phase 2. Mr. Keel.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. We're in the midst of Kiwanis Children's Park Phase 2, and we've gone out to bid, and there's 2 different parts to this project. One is through Churches, who has done most of our playgrounds and shelters, as you've seen at Temple. And then there's a lot of grading and concrete and earth moving. So there was 2 different projects going on for one. And if you look at project 4844, Kiwanis Children's Park Phase 2, we got 2 items for you tonight. The first is for churches. And one thing I do want to point out on the budget impact, there was a $12,000 contingency for the contractor that was not added into that budget impact that is in front of you for this item. The next item, it is accurately put on there. So the contingency for this project is $22,836. So with churches, they're part of this project, is coming in and updating the restroom, doing the shelter, and then we're going to add a 2 to 5 age nature-themed playground. One thing at Kiwanis Children that we continue to hear from our parents is they're terrified of their kids going all the way up to the top of that big tower. So in phase 2, we're going to address that. Also address the shelter that will be going down with the traffic circle from DOT, and then doing some updates to the restroom. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have on that project.
Questions for Mr. Keel? Commissioner Sharp?
I don't have any.
Commissioner Reeves? Commissioner Vorbeck?
And to confirm, this was renovating the current restroom structure, correct?
That is
Try and
correct.
save some money on that?
That's right. Yeah, when we went out initially for bids, we were roughly $50,000 over. So we took a step back, and instead of doing a scope of work amendment, because this is a Parks and Rec Trust Fund grant, we took a step back and just tried to figure out how we can get this project back under budget.
Okay, perfect. And then, it's not really a question, just for my brain and maybe someone else's, if next time on this, when you present, could you bring the big scale picture that was presented like 2 years ago? I just would kind of love to see.
Absolutely.
I have it in my brain, but it would kind of be nice to see where some of this, and I think even before it was released, now the DOT has changed with that traffic circle and the shelter, and just kind of give an update on that grand design that you had.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can send that to Ms. Mentor, and she can get that out to you.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Levick?
I know I've had several concerns on the restrooms, and we're going to upgrade those. Are they going to be able to be used year-round, or we're going to have to shut them down?
Now, we're going to add heaters.
That's the biggest
sir.
concern. I see a lot of, families still wanting to come out even
That's
during
right, yeah.
colder weather, and
And nobody likes a porta-john.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the biggest concerns I've heard about that whole thing. So good deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Unless you're a paratrooper in the middle of Fort Bragg.
Which the 4-year-olds are not.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Carver?
That $12,000, does that change the motion? So instead of 120,000, it's 100 and,
No, it does
30.
not, it does not change the price for churches. The only thing it changes is the contingency. And I want to make sure that the board knew that the contingency was not 34,000. It's 22,836.
I got you. That's all.
Okay, you've heard the proposal and you've answered questions. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve the purchase of shelter, restroom combination, and playground for Kiwanis Children Park in the amount of $120,565. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And you have the next item, award general contract bid for project 48844 Kiwanis Children Park Phase 2.
All right, thank you, sir. And again, this is the second part of this project. Mark's Construction was the lowest bidder after going out to bid at $357,095. They will be doing the concrete sidewalks, the grading. And our main purpose for the sidewalk going through the park is to get ready for the connection of Kiwanis family to Kiwanis Children. So this sidewalk will get us right down to Wicker and have that sidewalk ready to go when the city brings the greenway up from the family park. So going out to bid, the first time, we had 2 bids, we had to rebid. We came back with the rebid with 3 bids, and Marks Construction was the lowest bidder. So I'm seeking permission tonight to award the bid to them.
Questions for Joseph on the bid? Commissioner Carver?
I'm just curious about one thing. This is Mark's Construction. I don't think the church outfit bid on that one, did they?
No, they did not. Churches is typically the playground equipment and shelter.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
This is more earth moving and pouring concrete.
Different arena, got it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Warbeck?
So was Mark's Construction the one that didn't bid the first time?
They were not.
They were not?
Yep.
Had they seen the compendium bid before?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Yeah, once we get to the bid table and we don't have 3, we don't even open them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious on that. Okay. Have they done anything in the area before?
They've done phase 1 and phase 2 at the gymnastics building.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they're about to do the paving at the tennis center.
Okay. So they're familiar with your
Yeah.
standards and stuff? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Reeves?
Not for him, but are we in the loop on the DOT circle down on Carthage, or what? Who monitors that?
Jennifer
Yeah.
and Whitney have been working on that, and Joseph.
Yeah, so right now, the latest conversation, they came back, and I want to say it was roughly 73,000 that they were willing to give us for that property. And we're trying to not make this a county project because we didn't ask for this.
Right,
So with 73,000, we can't do what we need to do at Horton at the Gardens
right.
to make that land swap that needs to happen. So the ball's in their court to come back to us with a better offer.
That's DOT?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I ask a second question, piggyback, I don't want
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt. With that, because I know the structure, the current shelter is going to that has to go, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, on the shelter design, is it going to be similar to, because I know on one of the things it said no electrical or whatever, but that was to the bathroom, or is the shelter going to have no electrical either?
The shelter at Kiwanis Children will not have power.
Does it currently?
It does not.
It doesn't?
It does
Oh, okay.
not.
For some reason, I thought it did. Okay.
And the shelter that we're building is 22 by 44, which is
So
bigger
larger.
than
Yep.
larger.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Do you know if our DOT representative has gotten involved yet?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we've all been on phone calls together.
And we're still at a standstill?
Yes, sir. Yeah, because ultimately, after we set up a meeting with the state Parks and Rec as well, we found out ultimately they can just come in and do what they want. So we don't want that to happen, but we also don't want this to turn into a county project where we're spending county funds
Right.
for the land swap.
Right.
So we're trying to find that happy middle ground to where we can get a shelter and a restroom and lights and sidewalks at the Gardens.
Is our delegation involved?
Jennifer?
I don't think at this time they are, but we have also been trying to work with the state Parks and Rec to figure out with the land swap requirements, because the reason we're having to do the swap is because of the grant restrictions that we have on the property. And we need to understand what their requirements are as far as, minimum standards for the swap. They were provided some conceptuals by DOT that they approved to have the swap occur, but now that we know what they're putting on the table as an offer is not going to fund what they propose as a conceptual, we need to understand what they would minimally require for the land swap to occur before we go back to DOT and start pushing them on the price.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp?
None.
I have a question, Joseph.
Yes, sir.
What is the amount that we need to have as far as reimbursement from the state?
So off the top of my
In
head.
in order to meet the requirements of the grant because of the petitioning of the land or partitioning of the
No,
land?
so with the land swap, we are now taking over 2.4 acres at Horton, at the Gardens. And with the application that DOT sent in, they put in a shelter and a sidewalk and a parking lot and lights. With all that in the project, 73,000 is not going to cover that. And I did do that estimate 6 months ago. I don't know off the top of my head what that was, but it was not even close.
More like 373,000.
Yeah.
Asphalt's
I mean, if you think about
insane
just
right
just the shelter itself,
said
the
more like
shelter is
probably
going to be more than 73,000. So me reaching back to the state and saying, hey, this has been approved, but what's going to happen if we only get 73,000 and then this has been approved and now we have to fund it? Now it's our project for a DOT traffic circle that we didn't ask for.
I want to know what the actual numbers are, the differences.
I have done all that math and I'm sorry, I didn't have that ready for,
It's all right.
Any other questions?
Oh, I would say motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the bid from Marks Construction for project 4844 Kiwanis Children's Park Phase 2 in the amount of $357,095, and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement once approved by legal. Any further discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
all right, thank you.
And can I ask one thing, Joseph? Would
Yes,
you
sir.
be able to give me some information stipulating what it is that we're dealing with DOT?
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
then I can touch some other bases. We also have the legislative day coming up in a few weeks, so it's a nice subject to bug Mr. Sauls and.
Absolutely. Would you like that on the next agenda?
I'm.
Would you
I'm-
like that on
Can
the
you send
next
it to me
agenda?
offline?
Yes, sir.
Just send it to me
Absolutely.
tomorrow?
You got it.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Smith, I found the email I think he's referring to. He, priced the shelter with no bathroom at 100,000, a parking lot and sidewalk at 85,000, for a total of 185,000.
And
Does
that
sound-
was with no lights.
Right, and no lights at this point. And that was back in November, and you can imagine costs have gone up from there.
Inflation?
So-
And that's what the state's requiring, or saying that they would want part of the swap.
That's what we're waiting to hear back from them on.
Okay.
Like, are they going to hold us to that? Like, did they approve the land swap based on the park amenities that were offered?
Or can we just do what we can do with the amount they're offering us? But if they're not hold us accountable to that other, then we want additional funds.
Commissioner Reeves was referring to our representative on the state board. Were you referring to Lisa Mathis? I'm asking.
All of them,
Okay,
and the two legislators.
okay. Okay, thank you,
All
sir.
right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is we're moving down to manager's report. Candace Eisman.
Good evening. The March financial report is attached for your review. Our ad valorem tax collections are at 103.26% of the adopted budget. The target for expenditures at this point in the fiscal year would be 75%. At this point, there are no departments over budget if you exclude those encumbrances that are listed in the report.
Questions for Candace? Commissioner Carver?
None.
Commissioner Levick?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Sharp?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item on the agenda is the upcoming boards, committees, and commissions vacancies. Madam
This
Clerk?
is mine. This was just a quick to give you a heads up. that it is that time of year again, that we are going to be advertising even more aggressively than we do throughout the year to fill our boards and commissions vacancies. A lot of terms will expire at the end of June, and new terms begin effective July 1st. So in the agenda packet, I put together a memo for you, just outlining what we've done so far and what the next steps are, a list of our current and upcoming vacancies, and also an application to serve if you'd like to give that out to anybody. I gave you a hard copy as well, and if you'd like additional copies, please let me know. Otherwise, they can fill out the form online too. And
Thank you.
that's all I have. Thank you.
One thing I'd like to have would be a list of the people that are coming off or scheduled to come off
Okay,
and how long they've served.
okay. I can get that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp, any questions?
No, I was just looking at this, but no, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions.
I'm
Commissioner Carver?
good, thank you.
I have found that when I have individuals, constituents that have issues and they bring it to our attention, I usually put in a plug for them to get involved. Some will, so just a strategy I use.
Yeah.
Moving on, next item on the agenda is manager's comments.
Yes, sir. Each of you will find at your seat a copy of the jail feasibility study report. And Mosley will be here, as we promised, at our budget work session on May 31st to present the findings and answer any questions. We are asking that the board submit any questions pertaining to the report by the next regular meeting on May 20th, so we can get those questions to Mosley and they can be prepared in their presentation on the 31st. So if you have time to go through this report and have any additional specific questions, please go ahead and email those to Jennifer Gamble. As I mentioned, we will be having our budget work session on May 31st, so keep that in mind. We'll be starting at either 8 or 8:30 that day, and then on June 11th and June 12th will be our advocacy days in Raleigh. If you have not let Haley know if you intend to go, please do so that we can make sure we have our head counts turned in.
Questions for Lisa? Commissioner Sharp? Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Carver?
Are we going to have any sort of input from the sheriff on how he feels about this plan? Be somewhere in the process?
We had not landed on it, to my knowledge.
I spoke to our chief deputy this evening, and he's going to be in attendance at the budget work session. We've also asked, the sheriff will be unavailable that day. We've asked that they get together and submit any feedback that they want to incorporate as part of that presentation prior to the meeting, so we can plug it into the agenda, but he'll also be there to answer any questions.
Okay, so that is part of the agenda. We don't have to ask for it. He's going to make some comments, is what I hear you saying.
Yes, sir.
That's excellent. Thank you.
I guess I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Without going through this, I see that we're going to use existing and additional. Is there also, I know we talked about off-site, is that also still on the drawing board also?
Yes. Yes, both options will be presented and are referenced in the study.
Any other questions?
Let me just ask one other thing. When we get finished with this discussion on May 31st, does that end the process? We've got to start making recommendations at this point? This is just for information, is that correct?
This is for informational purposes at this time. We will also be dealing with the CIP. I'll be presenting that, our capital improvements program, on May 20th. And then you'll have to adopt that, so you can make adjustments to the CIP based on this and what the board feels the need is and where you want to place it in our 5-year plus CIP program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Looks like fun reading. Moving on, we'll do commissioners' comments before we go into closed session, so we'll start with Commissioner Sharp.
Yes, Thursday or Friday, I went by the sports complex out on Broadway Road, and man, the grading looked, fantastic, but that was before all the rain this weekend, so I hope all that good work didn't get washed away and get us behind the eight ball, but compliments to Brandon for looking after that and doing a great job.
Commissioner Reeves?
I just want to comment about a call I received this morning regarding people driving four-wheelers on private property. And my best recommendation for the person was to try and get pictures, try and get license tags, or get something, because by the time the sheriff gets out to some of these locations, they're already gone. And I asked did he have any no trespass signs on his property, and it did not. I recommend he do that, but some of you others may get calls regarding that stuff too this time of year. Thank you.
What part of the county was that?
Down in, actually right here in the city, down below Glen Edwards School, that's where this took place.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
I was just going to say, with the storms that are coming up this week, hopefully everyone maintains power and stays safe and, keeping our roads. Saturday was, and Sunday was a little wet, getting things in. And I had the privilege of attending the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast on Thursday, and Maggie Yao Buchanan spoke. And if you've never gotten the opportunity to listen to her speak, I would recommend. She is a very sweet, God-loving young lady who can speak beyond her years. And one of the symbols she used was, if you put your hand up and you start listing your strengths based on your hands, your fingers that are up, and if you view the spaces between your fingers, those are your weaknesses. And we're meant to do life as a community, and if you take someone else's strengths and you join hands together, someone's strengths covers your weaknesses, and your strengths cover their weaknesses. And I thought it was just a really good reminder of the community at large that we're dealing with in Lee County and the city of Sanford and Broadway, and how we can always be welcoming to other people's strengths and not view our weaknesses as something that we have to overcome, but looking at our neighbors to be able to overcome them together. I just thought it was a really nice reminder.
Thank you. Commissioner Connect?
I just would like us to continue keeping the families of the officers that lost their lives in the line of duty recently in our prayers. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Lovick?
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Carver?
Yeah, a week ago, I went to the Central Carolina Regional Council Board meeting, and there was a summary of the budget that they're proposing. I'm not sure we're aware of the kind of impact that they have, but basically, their budget is $40 million, which is a nice piece of change. And interestingly enough, only $1 million of it comes from the entities that are part of it. We're one of them, Lee County. There are 7 counties, and the rest of them, 47 total, are municipalities. But, so that's $40 million that's invested in their budget, and only $1 million is actually coming from us directly. One of the things that they mentioned again was the Granite Assistance Program, which we've had some dialogue about. They're now up to 15 of the 47 entities enrolled, and they're now up to $23 million in benefits or funding that they've been able to accomplish, actually distributed. Now, that doesn't reflect the number that have been requested, but their percentage was pretty high before. I don't have that specific number right now, how successful they've been. The other aspect of it is, I'm wondering whether or not we need to, in some sense, find out a little bit more about what's going on as it relates to the distribution of this $39 million or $40 million in their budget to various counties. we're relatively small. We're competing with Wake and Durham counties, and it's a little bit difficult. And I'm not sure, I don't have an opinion on how we might do it, but I'm sure the manager is aware of much more about what's going on there. But it's just curious to me how you gain some more influence in that arena so that we could get a larger share of what's going on. We're thankful for what we do get. It just seems relatively small compared to what some of the other people are getting. We, again, suffer from the fact that we're relatively small. Sanford also has a seat on that, so together we represent roughly 60,000 people, which is small compared to everybody else. Just something to look at. It's interesting to know that it's $40 million, and of course, most of that money comes from grants, federal grants, and then there's a significant amount of it that's associated with state funding. Anyway, that's how it works. One thing that I guess I will mention is the whole concept there is that that organization was founded for the purposes of encouraging regional cooperation. How do we go about identifying other counties and cities that we might work together in order to improve our radar cross section, so to speak, to catch some of this funding. So again, it's something that may be worth looking at a little bit in the future. I'll be rotating off that board in December. Somebody else might be interested in finding out a little bit more about it and become that person on that board in 2025. That's it. Thank you.
And if I could add to comments you made there, Commissioner Carver, we do get a lot of our grant funding and pass-through monies from the federal government for COLTS, senior programs, and then, of course, the Central Pines Regional Planning Organization, which has been shrunk down because of part of Moore County is now a municipal planning organization for transportation needs. So
Right.
they do a lot for us.
They do.
As it is, for our size. Furthermore, I would like to congratulate Mayor Andrews. He made the paper this weekend. He is now the vice chairman of the Mayor's Association for the state of North Carolina, and that's a great move on his part, and I commend him in that regard. And if I can close with saying that this morning, the traffic on Evans Ferry Road was blocked again because people driving, not paying attention. I think it was a 3-car accident at a T intersection on a very straight part of the road where there's no reason why someone should have caused an accident other than speed, inattentiveness, and stupidity. So I'll make that point. And I will always say, please drive safely, wear your seatbelt, no speeding. Yes, sir.
I want to ask Commissioner Carver specifically, the last board meeting, you talked about the county doing more for the schools. Does this board have an appetite for asking the General Assembly to stop taking public school money and giving it to private and charter schools? Do you have an appetite for doing a resolution requesting that?
I think, if I understand what you're talking about, one associated kind of concern in that would be also the things that they task us to do without giving us the money to do it. And we have a resolution concerning that, or recently discussed, which is in that arena. The other aspect of encouraging the General Assembly to go ahead and finance things, sure. I think it makes sense if we could cooperate with the school board and identify the specific issues that they would want to do and see if we can't cooperate the two boards together and write resolutions to that effect. I would say I'd have an appetite for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
If I can add to that as well, I know that the manager and I, we have breakfast. We have one scheduled for Wednesday with the superintendent and their board chair. And conveniently, Representative Saul shows up, and I usually finish our meeting and I go sit next to him and I talk about schools and jails and all sorts of things. So, yes, we bug them. And if you all bug them, that would be great.
Well, let's put something in writing to them.
We can do that. Any further questions, any further points before we go into closed session? Sir?
I move that we go into closed session per General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with our attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege and to consider and give instruction concerning the potential of action claim, administrative procedure, judicial action if known, and the title of the action is Eric Rodman versus Lee County Emergency Services, Lee County, and John Crumpton in his individual and official capacities.
Two separate motions were made. She couldn't hear.
I'll give this for you.
So we'll vote
That's
on
what- I guess
both
that's what the word
motions
came from.
together? Madam,
It's fine, yes, but just for the record, it is two separate.
there's two separate motions, two separate closed sessions.
Correct.
Thank you. All, you've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're now in closed session. Please take 5 minutes We're back out of closed session. Have a motion to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much. Please drive safely, wear your seatbelts, and no speeding. Okay.